This is the Bat Pod.
Grab your bat microphone, it's time to start the show.
Welcome to the Bat Pod, a Batman comic book discussion podcast. On today's show, we're going to be discussing Batman Legends of the Dark Knight 65 and 69 and Detective Comics 654.
Grab your headphones, listen up, you know you love it. Drop the facade. Like the Dark Knight detective, they've got some perspective. They're a pure crime-fighting collective. It's the Bat Pod.
Welcome to episode 153. My name is Bill Bere, and joining me tonight, the little general of the Bat Pod, J. David Weeder.
Okay, I didn't expect that one. Like, I was prepared for a lot of things, just not that one. I don't know how I feel about that now that you pointed out.
Yeah. That kid, and we'll get to that. That's our Knightfall book. Kind of interesting. I had forgotten about that character. Kind of interesting. Is what
I had as well until I opened it. I'm like, okay, yeah, we'll get to it. But yeah, it was, again, not prepared because I completely forgot him.
So yeah, we got some good stuff tonight. We start two brand new arcs, and they both happen to be Legends of the Dark Knight. Yours is Going Sane, and mine is Criminals. Actually, it's two good themes and good discussion topics when we get in those two books. Completely different, but that should be a lot of fun. Before we get too far, I want to mention we got an email from our good buddy Billy D. So Billy D says, "Hey guys, awesome episode, as usual. I think I'm going to have to look up this Robin series. It sounds awesome. Maybe on the app? Anyways, I've got the first trade paperback of Knightfall, but only paged through it. When I bought it a few years ago, I'll have to follow along with you guys. Keep up the awesome work. Billy D." Well, thank you as always, Billy D. We really appreciate it.
Yep, and I do believe, and you'd have to confirm this, Robin Year One is on the DC Infinite app?
Yes, it is on the DC Infinite app, and I highly recommend it. It is a great 4-issue mini, and as we said, each issue is 50-some pages, I believe, but it doesn't feel long.
No, it's a brisk read in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you'd like to join the conversation, our email is thepodcast@thebatpod.com. We are at thebat_pod on X, aka Twitter, and we are on Facebook. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, please consider giving us a review. We'd really appreciate it. So jumping into our small topic here tonight, it was your pick, and you decided that our topic would be Batman-centric superpower toys we wish were produced.
Yep. That's inspired by the mini-series over at Fire and Water Podcast. It's celebrating 40 years of superpowers.
Yes, congratulations.
They did not have to point out how long it's been.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah, great show. I listened to that also. Fun show, yeah. So I'll let you go first.
So I did 3 things: a playset, a vehicle, and figures.
Okay.
So I'll start with the figures because I'm imagining if the line had continued in 1986, I want a disco collar Nightwing, original costume.
Okay.
And a Batgirl. I want them in that scale. And Todd can make this happen because McFarlane's continued it, but it's not out of the question. I really want that costume in superpowers form just because it is era specific. Secondly, in a vehicle, I want the Batplane. Not the Batwing, which is cool, but the original Batplane. I've even got the power actions figured out on that. You would pull a trigger and the guns would rotate, so it looks like they're firing, and then it would drop a missile. Just give me the original design Batplane.
That's pretty cool.
Lastly is and this one's probably not going to surprise you, an original Batcave playset. I know Kenner gave us some great ones down the road. One they kept using over and over again. It started out for Batman Returns. They used it for everything else. I want an old school giant dinosaur, giant penny Batcave. And the best part in my head is you send in the proof of purchase and get a Bruce Wayne mail-in figure to go with your superpowers Clark Kent.
Oh, that's pretty cool. You actually stole one of mine.
I figured we might overlap.
Yeah, it was the Batcave. The Batcave playset, and you could have different things in there. You got to have a penny. You got to have a Joker card. It would even be cool to see a little Robin costume. But I don't know if he keeps that in there anymore. I mean, he's Jason Todd's been alive for a good 20 plus years anyway at this point. So I don't know if he keeps that.
It just blew my mind.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking about, the Batgirl Cassandra Cain would be a cool one. And some of these, remember... I believe I can't remember. Brian Q. Miller did a Batgirl series, with Stephanie Brown.
Yes.
Yes, that would be a cool figure too. I went into the Batgirl kind of direction. That would be kind of cool. And I would like to see a Bat Pod, like motorcycle type of thing. Not that I have one particular one in my head, but it would be just cool to see the Bat Pod. It says the Bat Pod on there. So yeah. No, that's a lot of fun to think about. And I went and looked at, all the different figures, and they have like a crazy amount of Batman figures for that sort of thing. There is even a Batman. I don't know if you ever read Last Night on Earth.
I have not.
Well, basically, it's in the future, and Batman has this futuristic costume, and he carries around a lantern that's just the Joker's head, talking head in it. And I don't know if it's superpowers, but the Todd McFarlane, they made a Todd McFarlane figure of that. It was Scott Snyder. It was after his run on Batman in the New 52.
Off topic, but based on your recommendation, you just reminded me, I did read The Batman First Night.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yes.
Phenomenal.
Yes. Very good. And the Chip Zdarsky's run who wrote that, and he has a run in Batman, and I have to say, and he hasn't completed his run, but we're currently doing issues of his on Gotham Currents, where we do the new releases. I've really enjoyed that story overall, and it comes. Some of those characters in the night come to play in the regular story, so I do recommend. There are some things in there that might be like that he played with a little bit in the toy box that he probably should have not let them play with continuity a little too much, but overall I've enjoyed it. Okay. Let's take a quick break here, and when we come back, we're going to head to Batman Legends of the Dark Knight, number 65.
Come on, Robin. To the Batcave. We haven't one moment to lose.
And we are back with our first stop in Batman Legends of the Dark Knight with issue 65, my pick. This is from November 1994. Our cover has the Joker in it's a bowler hat. He's got a cane in hand. He seems to be dancing in front of the bat signal. What do you think of the cover, Bill?
I like this cover. I enjoyed it. It's pretty straightforward. You have him dancing in front of the bat signal. He's up on stage doing a show, entertaining. So I like that.
It fits in thematically, as we'll see. But I'm going to reserve comment for right now.
Okay.
Because it kind of goes with some comment I have overall in the book. But I don't dislike it. We'll get there when we get there.
Okay.
But this is the first part of Going Sane, written by J.M. DeMatteis, penciled by Joe Staton, inked by Steve Mitchell, lettered by Willie Schubert, and colored by Laverne Kandezersky. That's as close as we're going to get. And jumping in, on a bright, sunny Saturday in the neighborhood of Park Ridge, the citizens of Gotham City are treated to a passing parade. The people are especially into a clown doing his tricks and gags as he fumbles his juggling balls on the ground. Oblivious to the spectators that the clown is the Joker, and the fumbled balls are explosives. The destruction leaves 4 dead, 17 injured, and later that night, after foiling a robbery, Batman is on the scene investigating. Knowing that the Batman is on his trail, the Joker, posing as a cab driver, kidnaps Councilwoman Elizabeth Kenner, who has been working late that night. He takes her to the Comedia Theater, where he subjects her to various comedy acts of the 1920s and 30s, and after seeing the Councilwoman is not laughing, he violently beats her. Joker makes his presence known, mimicking the bat signal with a Joker signal, and Batman easily takes him down only to see that it's not him, but a small-time hood named Frank McGuire. McGuire gives Batman a map to upstate where Joker has Kenner. Joker's tactics begin to further infuriate Batman, so Batman takes his Batcopter upstate to a cabin in the woods where the Joker is holding Kenner at gunpoint, and without warning, Joker shoots Kenner. Turns out to be just a blow-up doll, as he had released her hours ago into the woods. Before Batman can take him down, Joker escapes via a trapdoor, and Batman suddenly realizes from a clue that the Joker gave him that the cabin is wired with explosives. Before he can act, Batman is caught in the explosion, leaving him half dead and half unmasked. Joker doesn't buy it and demands Batman to get up. With no movement at all from Batman, Joker finally accepts that he's dead and dumps his body into a river with a somewhat sad feeling as he floats away. Joker returns to the Comedia Theater in Gotham and accepts the fact that since there's no more Batman, there's no need to continue with his run as the Joker. He blows up the theater and contemplates getting a job and doing something about his skin condition. Back upstate, two kids run to Dr. Lynn Eagle's house and tell her they found a near-dead man lying beside the river. And so closes Chapter 1. So, Bill, what did you think so far?
I thought this was very interesting. There are a lot of interesting parts in here, and as I said, there's sort of a theme that makes you think. There's a lot of things leading up to this, but the big question that I think after I read this is, okay, if the Joker's only reason for being the Joker is, his constant battle with the Batman, what does he do after that? That's pretty interesting, because it's he was like, he's dead. I'll just blow everything up and I need to have a new life and everything else. That seems kind of crazy. I mean, there's always this thing that's been going back and forth. It's like the Joker and the Batman are in this constant battle. And, we see in Dark Knight Returns, the Joker gets out of Arkham because Batman becomes Batman again. And that's very interesting to me. There are a lot of things in here that we could talk about. What is your overall thoughts? You picked this book, so what are you?
It is. I think it's their third clash, which I thought was interesting. So this is still early in that back and forth. I think that is a good spot to put this sort of Joker is part of this grand act in his head. That he and Batman are this epic hero villain showdown, and once that's done, there's no need for him. The weird thing is, the reason this resonates is it's been explored. It was in The Killing Joke a little bit. It was also in, if you ever read Batman the White Knight and the spinoffs, that there's a codependent relationship. It was done in The Dark Knight. It's something that's become part of the tapestry. And it played out in real life when we lost Kevin Conroy. Mark Hamill, and I happened to see this today, that's why it popped into my head, is like, I can't do the Joker anymore. So in his head, one cannot exist without the other, because Batman is the reason he fell into the Ace Chemicals when he was the Red Hood.
Yep.
That began this dance. And there have been a lot of interpretations of Batman. One's an agent of chaos, or Batman and the Joker. One's an agent of chaos. One's order. Truth is a bit murkier, but this is actually probably the best aspect to be brought in, is that the Joker is fueled by his ongoing rivalry with Batman. Chaos is probably the one of the best ones to put it on the table.
That's kind of interesting. It's pretty interesting that he's the one that as you said, put it on the table, and that I really like that aspect of it. Here, this is, as you said, it's the third appearance, and every other appearance he thought he died, which, a lot of the stories, leading up to the 90s, the Joker, gets away and it looks like, oh, he crashed in the bay. He looks like he died. And that's what he says exactly. The previous two times he thought he died, but he didn't. And what do you think that Batman, I'm talking about this particular scene where he's in the Batcave and he says, I once looked into a face like yours, Joker, some malicious eyes, some arrogant sneer. Well, he's talking about Joe Chill. There has to be a line that can't be crossed. There has to be a guardian of safe places. And I'm it, you grinning gargoyle. And he kind of smashes his monitors in the Batcave. Is this Joker rivalry to Batman? Is it remind him of like the very beginning, with Joe Chill? Because he mentions that here.
Yeah. I think it's a symbol of failure in Bruce's head, even though he was supposedly 8 years old when the Waynes are killed, he failed to protect them. So his protection of Gotham is an echo of that failure of trying to correct that in some way, shape, or form. And it's not all that simple, but that's an element. And the fact that the Joker has done so much damage and Batman still hasn't put him in a place where he's behind bars.
Right.
It eats at him. That's a symbolism of his failure.
That's an interesting aspect. And, J.M. DeMatteis is currently writing the Robin Lives story, where it continues on if Jason Todd lived in Death in the Family, and there are some aspects they're going through with that, and it's a very interesting concept. I like stories like this that make you think a little bit, and it's not just, bad guy does something bad, good guy stops bad guy, and that's it. I like this sort of thing, and I like that it shows that they're deeper characters than just superficial, like good guy, bad guy, and I like this. When the Joker is shown like this, I really like him for what he is. I mean, he's overused a lot nowadays, but this particular story I really enjoyed.
Do you find him sympathetic in this?
Like after he thought he killed him, that sort of thing?
Well, at any point in the book, in the issue, was there any time you felt bad for the Joker or felt concern for him?
Not really.
Okay, and that's how I felt. And I thought that for me is a positive.
Yeah.
There's been a lot done in the last 5 to 10 years. Attempts to make the Joker relatable and sympathetic, to the point where there are people online that they want a romance like Joker and Harley, which is incredibly problematic. You don't want that. It's like people going to Romeo and Juliet and thinking it's a love story. It's not. It's a tragedy. My thing is, it made Joker interesting, but not sympathetic, because you cannot sympathize with this guy.
No, I would. Yeah, you could never sympathize because he's killing people, and it's nothing. Murders people just to upset Batman to be his.
Brutally beats a woman in this. So,
yes.
DeMatteis made sure to make it engaging, but you never feel like, oh, Joker's the victim. Poor Joker.
No, not at all. And he's dressed up like a real clown here, and that is kind of amusing. His look is very amusing in here.
What did you think of the art overall? Because I did want to mention that.
I thought it was okay. It wasn't bad, but the way the Joker's drawn here, and the classic elongated face of the Joker at times in here is drawn very well. I always liked him to have that elongated face.
See, I found myself, I like Joe Staton a lot. We covered him. We did the Catwoman, Batman, Earth 2, where they got together. We did that, and that was the same artist. He did a great run on Green Lantern. He believe he went on to do the Dick Tracy strip. This is not that level of art, and I don't know if this was maybe a side gig. It's very competent. I don't want to take that away, but it is not what I'm used to from Joe Staton.
Oh, I can understand that. There's sometimes it almost look like his costume is very pointy at times. At times it looks better, and then at times it looks a little off. Yeah.
And it's in no way, shape, or form bad.
No.
When you have an artist at a certain level that you think of at a certain level, that's when you're comparing it to another version of that, which may or may not be fair. It's up to that's in the eye of the beholder. But that was maybe the weaker aspect of this. The writing's superb.
Oh, absolutely. And there are some panels in here that are pretty great.
I did forget to ask, had you read this previously?
I read it, but I couldn't remember what happened in it. I mean, I read most of these, but, it's going on 30 years, and 30 years in my memory, is not too good.
Right. Weird thing is, and I did not plan it. It just, the way it fell. I can tell you when I read this, which was about exactly 3 years ago today.
Oh.
Because we had put in an offer on a house and we got approved that same day. So I always associate this story with the house I live in now, that when we bought our first house, which literally came up in my Facebook memories today. I'm like, well, that's serendipitous.
Yeah, and the other thing that I liked about this first part, this is a 4-part story, so we're going to delve into the mind of the Joker a little bit. And And that's kind of exciting. That should be fun. So
Yep, a solid first chapter, but it leads into stuff that I'm excited to talk about.
yeah, absolutely. So okay, we are going to head to a podcast promo, and then we'll be back for Batman: Legends of the Dark Knight number 69.
Imagine a podcast that celebrates the things we love. Why spend time being so angry and cynical about our fandoms? Join me, the irredeemable Shag, for a show where we're just trying to be happy. The Once Upon a Geek podcast. Our discussions focus on a variety of geeky subjects that we're passionate about. While the topics will be ever-changing, our focus will be on science fiction, comic books, what it means to be a geek in this world, and other nostalgia-fueled ideas. Life is short. Focus on the positive. Find your joy. The Once Upon a Geek podcast, part of the Fire and Water Podcast Network.
Our next book tonight is Batman: Legends of the Dark Knight number 69 from January 1995. Title is Criminals. Your writer, Stephen Grant. Artist, Mike Zeck. Colorist, Digital Chameleon. And letterer, Willie Schubert. And we get a cover here, and we got Batman in the front and center, holding his cape with two fists. And he's in like a industrial warehouse type of thing. I don't even know how to describe that, with a lot of different colors. What did you think of this cover?
It's a poster color.
Uh-huh.
The composition it's good. The colors you mentioned, I'm glad you brought that out. Somehow that makes it pop because they're the right colors. They're like a darker or a darker up top,
a magenta,
purplish.
Yeah.
Yep. And then hot and yellowish orange on the bottom. So you feel like he's in some industrial machine of some kind.
Yeah.
Which I guess is maybe a metaphor.
So, yeah. Well, in this issue, 10 months ago, a gang of laid-off workers break into the foundry where they used to work. Batman is on the scene, but a man named Vince attempts to kill Batman, but is saved by a man named Crown. Batman asks Crown why he saved him, as he is taken away by the police. In the present, Captain Gordon is investigating the murder of Kurt Halter. He goes outside to speak to Batman, and they discover Halter's son hiding on the grounds. Later, the son identifies the killer as a man named Lou Jack, who was in prison on the night of the murder. Gordon tells Batman about a hit and run a few months earlier, where the victim actually died in the gas chamber 2 years earlier. Batman goes undercover in the prison as Detective Stone. He saves another prisoner from being killed, and it turns out to be Crown, and the order to kill Crown was given by Vince, who answers to somebody higher up. That night, Vince leads the gang to beat up Bruce. After a brawl, Bruce escapes to the roof where he has a hidden bat suit. So Legends of the Dark Knight number 69, we got Stephen Grant, Mike Zeck, and if you recall, if you're into the Punisher in the 80s, they did the first Punisher miniseries. So David, what did you think of this book?
I'm glad you brought up the Punisher miniseries because I was going to mention that. That's the first... one of the first things that come to mind when you say Mike Zeck, that and Captain America. And the first Punisher miniseries has Frank Castle in prison. So I immediately I joined these two together. That brought this story down a notch because it felt like, okay, we're doing this again with a different character. However, I was engaged throughout the whole thing. It left me at the end ready to go to the next issue, which I did not read. So I feel like this was actually a really solid setup. I'm more excited to see the second part, though.
Yes, I think it's a good setup. I really like the theme. You know, the writing, the inner dialogue of Batman was very unique. It has a very big play on fear. And just like, this is a Batman, you know, that hadn't been around too long because Gordon is still Captain Gordon. He's not Commissioner Gordon. And I really liked the feel of it. There's a lot of shade and darkness throughout this. And there was a scene in here where Batman just, at the beginning, where he is coming from above, and he has his...
I have it pulled up now.
Yeah, his cape spread out. I really liked that. And I also liked the feeling, it gave me like a feeling from Batman 89 where he's taking out crooks by, tying them up, or the one guy goes to shoot and he gets the bat rope around his arm and he pulls him up, and he just thrives on the fear, of these criminals. I really like this.
I enjoyed it. I couldn't get out of the association with the Punisher and that first miniseries.
I can understand that.
No, this is the exact creative team from the Punisher.
Wonder if this is a statement that there were things that they wanted to do that they didn't get to do.
It's very curious, that's for sure.
Well, again, I was joking a little bit up front about the machine, but if you go into something like the prison industrial complex, there's a lot that can be story-wise that can be exploited there. So I kind of see why it might be something, at least thematically, they would return to.
I liked seeing Batman infiltrate the prison here. That was kind of cool. Except, how much different can he really look in front of Gordon, By just putting on a mustache. It's like, oh, he doesn't look like Bruce Wayne at all. Just puts on a mustache and... I
mean, I guess if Clark Kent can wear glasses, but...
It did, at times, I got a feeling in the art that it was similar to... Batman Year One Mazzucchelli.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with Gordon. Yeah, especially with Gordon.
And you know what? Now that I look at it, I was trying to place it. Bruce, when he's stone, when he has the mustache, he looks like Craven because that was Mike Zeck did those covers for Craven's Last Hunt. Yeah. Just put a lion pelt on him. He's good.
Yeah. So something's going on here. This is only a 2-issue arc, so this will tie up next issue. But
I do like that he mentions towards the end, he's like, I've memorized all the blueprints, all the plans. I know this prison better than they do.
Yeah.
Which is a way of saying they're not trapped in here. I'm not trapped in here with them. They're trapped in here with me without having to say that out loud.
Yes. Because he glides over the prison in his glider. And when he did that, he dropped off his costume.
Mm-hmm. So he set it up ahead of time. That's a man with a plan.
Yeah. And I have a feeling, and I won't say, who it is, but I have a feeling that you might be able to guess who's behind this.
I have a suspicion.
Yeah, I figured you might. Which is, it's kind of a trope in these prison, things that go on in a prison. Sometimes it happens that way more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
So okay. Let's go ahead and we're going to head to our walk through Knightfall.
Who is this guy?
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
Listen, I'm Batman.
Oof, you even sound like a bad guy.
I swear I am a good guy.
Okay, Mr. Batman.
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 That's what I said, Batman.
No, you're saying Batman. Listen, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
I want you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
I'm Batman.
Yep, this time our walk through Knightfall brings us to Detective Comics, our first detective issue in this run. We're looking at issue 654. We have writer Chuck Dixon, penciler Michael Netzer, inks by Scott Hanna, colors by John Costanza, and letters by Adrian Roy. But the cover is Sam Keith, and for the life of me, I don't know how to describe it. It looks like Batman's exploding out of something, out of a chapel as people run. What do you think of this one, Bill?
Oh, I love the cover. I love me some Sam Keith and Batman together.
So do you like Sam Keith for covers only, or do you find him a good storyteller with Batman?
It all depends. Sometimes I'm okay with it, and other times I'm like, it's sort of like distorted at times.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I like that with Batman overall. I like it, but other times I don't enjoy it as much.
Yep. I feel that I find it hit or miss. Him and I might get vilified for this, but Kelly Jones.
Oh, okay.
Like I like their poster shots, but when they get into actual interior art, it's hard to follow. This is spectacular. This is kind of pops in the eye. It makes me immediately think of, for some reason, fairy tales, like the old art you would see in Alice in Wonderland. Sort of that exaggerated, comedic looking.
Yeah, I can see that.
But opening our issue, Ulysses Hadrian Armstrong is a teen that spent most of his youth in a military academy. There he read military history books until he became a military genius. He then decides to burn the academy and travels to Gotham City to assemble an army, air quotes. He starts taking some street gangs under his control, and they start calling themselves war dogs. When he had enough people to act, he stole weapons from a National Guard armory, creating havoc in order to send a message to rival gangs. For his military skills, he is named the General. Batman and the police attempt to stop the increasing violence, but are overwhelmed by recently acquired weaponry of the war dogs, resulting in Batman being shot and seriously injured. The General and his troops plan an attack on the rival gangs to boost their ranks with their members. The plan also includes an attack on the Black Mask Gang and the Gotham City Police Department, as well as a plan to kill Batman. So, Bill, what'd you think of this chapter?
I thought this was an interesting chapter. As we see Batman continue on, he gets shot. I don't know how he's still going. He's, lack of sleep. He had a nosebleed. He gets shot. It's interesting. I don't know if this character is that believable, this general, this little kid.
I didn't think so until I thought of it. It was a similar character to a kid that was in RoboCop 2.
Okay.
And it's just that whole thing was supposed to be, satire. So I kind of went into it like,
it's sort of like a satire. I mean, the kid, he gets bullied, so he burns, the private school, the military academy. Mm-hmm. With everybody in it. Something must have went on earlier in his life that made him, snap or something. You just don't go to military school and then all of a sudden decide to kill everybody.
I don't know.
It's a little weird. It's interesting, and he's trying to take over Gotham's underworld, basically.
Yeah. And makes a good run at it, too.
Yeah.
The sad thing for me is I because of the comparison to the previous chapters where we had Headhunter and what was the guy with the whip on his head? It's already gone. Metalhead. Since we had those characters, this character is a step up. So I was actually glad to see him.
Oh yeah, he's definitely a step up. It's interesting how this kid, puts all these low lifes together, and it's like this first gang, they're holding the guy's holding a baseball bat, one guy has a knife, and they must not be too bright, that's for sure.
Yeah, but I felt like this actually, at least from a story perspective, was a little bit of a step up. At least we got something a little bit more engaging. Art wise, I thought it was pretty good. You can't beat a Paro, but this had some really, really mediocre moments.
Yeah. I didn't love it. There's this scene where Batman is talking to Commissioner Gordon, and they're at the bat signal, and this cape looks like it just has a mind of its own.
It's very, very much reminiscent of Spawn, where it's just floating everywhere.
Yes. And he's talking to him, and it's like spiking out, and there's that page at the bottom. I mean, you can barely see him through all the spikes of his cape. What is that?
I like the lighting effect on that, but yeah, it looks goofy.
Yeah, did they see Sam Keith's cover and I'm going to try to do capes? Because there's some scenes in there where the cape, he's jumping after taking up some of these army guys, and he's jumping, and it looks like the cape is almost like a glider or something.
It feels like they tried to do what Norm Brayfogle does with the cape, which wouldn't work unless you're Norm Brayfogle.
Yeah. And there's a scene with the cow, when Batman gets out the Batmobile and he's been shot, and the ears are almost like where Captain America has his little wings.
Mm-hmm.
They're way down on the side of his head.
Yeah. They're not even like Wolverine where it flows back.
Yeah, I
guess he got shot so hard his ears moved.
I don't know.
And yet we've had worse recently. So this is actually not necessarily a step up, but it's on par.
No. So yeah. In next issue, we get another part of the story. That has a cool cover too coming up.
Mm-hmm. I will say I like the weird image he has at the end when the generals do, I guess they're projections of some kind, but just this weird cartoon version of Batman.
Yes, he looks like a blown up, on a Thanksgiving Day parade type of thing, but he looks really angry and scary. Because he mentions they're going to bring the bad boy runners into their ranks, and then Black Mass is going to respect us and deal with us as equals.
I bet he does.
And I bet not. And the police is going to fear them, and Batman they're just going to kill.
Simple. We kill the Batman.
And Batman's going to take him, put him over his knee, and just giving him a spanking.
The kid just needs some tough love.
Something. So yeah. So any final thoughts on this one?
It was fine. It's a good building block to what's to come.
Yeah, I agree. It was entertaining. Okay. Let's go ahead and we're going to head to what we learned.
To the Batmobile. Let's go. Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed. Here, ready to move up.
So, David, what did you learn in this episode?
I learned if I want to be a military genius, I just have to read some books in a library.
There you go. You could get on that. Military genius. I learned that if I'm in a gang and some little rugrat comes up and says, I can make you all rich if I just take over your gang, it's like I'm telling them just to get out of here. Seriously.
I mean, he might shoot you, but yeah,
he might. Well, those guys were kind of dumb, so maybe he could have. So yeah, some very different issues tonight for sure.
Mm-hmm.
After we had Robin and the Huntress book, so it was enjoyable reads, that's for sure.
Yep, I didn't feel like I wasted my time with any of them.
No, not at all. So we'll be back here in a few weeks, continuing on with Walk Through Knightfall, Sane with the Joker, and our last part of Criminals. But before we get out of here, do you have any final thoughts or wisdom?
Yeah, it's back to school time, and I volunteered at a school to help with some lunch program, and what I saw were a lot of notes from parents to kids. If we knew the value that those notes would have, well, little lunchbox, I love you, have a great day notes.
Mm-hmm.
If we knew the value, we would treat them like gold. So be aware that you may be getting those notes now in a different form, and treat those little moments, those expressions like gold. You will never go hungry.
Absolutely. So until next time, same bat time, same bat channel. We will see you later.